Yes, can you hear me, students? Okay, fine. So, what actually today we are going to do is, I'm going to start with ADO.NET today. I will quickly revise ADO.NET. Then we will go through the IMP questions that has been already uploaded in your e-content, how to write the answers, and then we will go for the practical session of ADO. Fine. So today, most probably we are going to cover ADO.NET only. So moving on with the ADO.NET. Right. So ADO.NET stands for ActiveX Data Object.NET. Right. So mainly it is dealing with the database and its operations, and it provides a database support to a .NET framework or any language that supports .NET framework. So it is an object-oriented set of libraries that allows you to interact with data sources. Now, what do you mean by data sources here? Anyone? Can anyone answer what is data sources? So what do you mean by raw input from user, Krunal? Finally, it's not exactly database entries. No number or anything. No, Krunal. Anyone can answer here. DB, data set, data table, fine. But I want some more precise answer. Path of database, no. No, kindly refer this term again. That's what I'm saying you. It allows you to interact with data sources. So focus on this term, data source. Okay, somewhat near, Heli, storage of data. Source of data, yes. So what source of data? Fine. So actually what it says is ADO.NET is an object-oriented set of libraries that allows you to interact with data sources. Now data sources can be anything, any component, any tool that can store any type of data. Let us say if I'm using some Word file to store some text, so again it is a data source. If I'm using a notepad file to store some numbers, again it is a data source. So any component or any tool that can store a data is a data source for us. So remember this thing. Right. So next thing, a set of classes that interfaces, structures, and enumerations that manage data access from within the .NET framework. So ADO.NET provides you all the things that you require for any type of database operations. Next thing, commonly the data source is a database, but it could be a text file, an Excel spreadsheet, or an XML file. Anything that can store a data, right? So mainly our program interacts with the ADO.NET module, and that makes our interaction with the database. So in short, ADO.NET is a bridge between our application and our database. Next, so what is the objective of ADO.NET? First thing is it supports disconnected architecture. That means you do not require a live connection between your application and your database. Second thing, it is having a tight integration with XML. Yes. The reason why it supports disconnected architecture is this, that it supports XML. So XML is something that makes ADO.NET disconnected. So whatever task we are performing in ADO.NET, that is insert, update, delete, or select, everything is managed by XML in between. I will show you how in the later part. Next thing is common data representation. That means if you are using ADO.NET, you will have a fixed structure of table that you need to use for database and its operations. Ability to combine data from multiple and varied data sources. Exactly. So say let us say, for example, you are having a text file and that you want to use as a database in ADO.NET. It is possible to connect that file with ADO.NET using this XML. So XML is a bridge, is a conversion bridge where you can connect different sources of database with your existing application in your C# or .NET. Next thing is optimized facilities for interacting with a database. Yes, you are having different ways of interacting with a database. So it is having optimized facilities of interacting with a database. Next, earlier we were using ADO. So ADO was having a working with a connected data. That means you require a live connection between your application and a database to perform any database operations. Either you say updating a data, viewing a data, keeping a record set of it, or any database operations, you will require a live connection. Next, so this is bearing because you have to develop special routines to pull all your data into temporary tables. That means you need to have some backend code that will have live connectivity between your application and your database. So what was the scenario in connected environment? You open the connection, execute whatever commands you want to do. If it is select command, then you need to process the rows in a reader. Then you need to close the reader and then you need to close the connection. So for each and every operation, you need to perform these operations. So as compared to this, we are having these particular advantages and disadvantages. Advantages: simple work and simple security realization, work with real data, and simple organization of distributed work. Now here I can emphasize on this word, that is work with real data. Yes, because you have a live connectivity with your database, you will have always the live data or real data to work with. But because of this, we have a limitation that we require a continual connection. That means continuous connection is required. And this architecture cannot be implemented over internet. That means if you are building website, this architecture is not possible because a live connection will keep or have more load on a server. Next, ADO.NET. It supports disconnected architecture. So what do you mean by disconnected architecture? That means you do not require live connection between your application and your database. But what we use is we use XML. So XML will be a mediator between your application and database, and that XML is responsible for all the operations of database that you want to do. So how it works is You will open the connection, you will fill the data set or data table and close the connection. Now, whenever you want to just do any database operations, what you will do is you will just open the connection and you will work till whatever operations you want to perform. And once all the operations are done, we will close the connection. So this is how the disk environment works. So what are the advantages? Does not require continual connection, but what are the drawbacks? There are no major drawbacks, but may have data inconsistency in a very rare case. Yes, because XML is something that will fetch the data from the database at some particular time. So whenever you are performing with the data, you may have some data loss, or rather data inconsistency. Sorry guys. But in major cases, there are no data loss or data inconsistency because XML is trying to manage all the data in a real time. So that is not a major drawback for ADO.NET. Next. So this is the architecture of ADO.NET that you need to remember for your exam purpose also. So in the first part, we have .NET Data Framework Provider, and the second part we have data set. So what does this framework provider contains? It contains connections, it contains commands, it contains data reader, it contains adapter. An adapter is used to execute all types of queries mainly, and that will interact with the database. And on the other part, a data set contains a data table, that is the collection of row and column, and it will have a direct integration with XML. So XML is responsible for managing all your operations and providing you all the outputs of your operations. Remember this thing. Next, now data providers. So mainly ADO.NET supports four main types of database providers. So what do you mean by data providers? In short, it contains something that you can work on with and you can fire some queries on it. So data providers are this. First is ODBC, that is Open Database Connectivity. You can connect any open source tool with this ADO.NET. Second is OLEDB, that is Object Linking and Embedded Database. So you can connect any other software with your ADO.NET like Access or Excel. Then you have a specific Oracle database provider and you are having SQL database provider. So in this we are working right now. We have used SQL Server or SQL data provider in our applications in Windows Phone as well as in the console application. So we are mainly working with SQL Server or SQL data provider. Next, you need to remember these namespaces. System.data is the important namespace you need to import whenever you are working with database. Then whatever data provider you have used, accordingly you need to import the particular namespace. For us, we are going to remember this system.data.sql and system.data.sql client. So this too is important for our side. We are not going to concern with these particular namespaces. Now, connection class. So the first part of your architecture was connection. So it is a class. So what it is? So connection class allows a user to connect an application with the database. So connections are mainly used for connecting your application with the database. Next thing, connection string is mainly used to establish a connection. So to connect your application with the database, we are using connection string. So connection string contains following properties. What you should have in your connection string. First thing you require is a database name with its extension. So mainly we are using .mdf extension in our application. Next, you require data provider. So mainly we will have our data provider as SQL Server. Then you have a data source. That means you should have a path That means a location of the database where it is stored. Then version is optional part, that what version of database you are using. And then a connection timeout, it is again optional. It is a by default you have 20 seconds of connection timeout. That means if you are not working with a database in a live connection or in a discrete architecture, it will wait for 20 seconds for any operations to be performed. If you are not giving any operations to be performed, it will automatically have a timeout after 20 seconds. So you can change this timeout manually also. So how should your connection string look? So this is the example. This is the example that you should write in your exam. You are not going to write that long connection string that we get copy paste in our Visual Studio, but you need to remember this connection string for your exam. So what it is, string s equals to provider equals to SQL Server 8.0. Now to provide database name, the syntax is initial space catalog equals to database dot extension. Data source equals to, you can give any path. This is the sample path. And if you want to give timeout, you can define timeout like this, timeout equals to 30. So this is the syntax. You can define a connection string. Moving on, the next is connection class uses two methods. Yes, first is open, that means make a connection between application and your database. And second is close, that means we terminate the connection between application and database. The next class is command class. So command class is mainly used to execute database queries. The methods that are used in command class are as follows. The first method is execute scalar. So what do you mean by execute scalar? It executes select query and returns only first row and first column. So you will get only one column as an output if you use execute scalar to fire select query. Then comes execute reader. So execute reader executes select query and returns complete set of rows and columns. So if you are using select query, you can use execute reader method of command class to execute select query mainly. And for insert, update and delete query, we are using execute non query. Now data reader class. Data reader class was mainly used in ADO, but for ADO.NET we are using these three classes only. And data reader class was used to only execute select query. And that select query will fetch only one row at a time. So let us say I am having a table and that table contains 20 rows. Now I want to display all 20 rows, or I want to fetch all 20 rows. Then if I'm using this data reader class, what will happen? I will get output one row by one row. That means if I press enter, I will get first row, then press enter second row, press enter third row. Likewise, I need to hit enter for 20 times to get all the 20 rows. So that was the drawback of data reader class. It was only fetching one row at a time. So we are not using this class in ADO.NET. Moving on next. Yes, but as compared to this execute reader, we had a direct command called data adapter class and its method da.fill we are using in our database operations. So data adapter class is a new version of executing select query. So it is a replacement for methods of command class. Yes. So we are not using execute scalar or execute reader, but we are using data adapter class to execute select query. It is fast and fetches all records relevant to the query executed on the database. And whatever records have been fetched can either be stored in a data table, that is a collection of virtual rows and virtual columns, or we can store it in data set, that is the collection of data tables. So this is what is all about your ADO.NET. Right. So what I will do is I'll again go through all the PPTs from connected architecture, and you will have 10 to 12 seconds to view each PPT, and then I will have some question answer sessions. So your time starts now. Next, this is not required, advantages and drawbacks. Next, ADO.NET. Again, this is not required, advantages and disadvantages. Now see this architecture properly. I'm giving you about 1 minute for this. Okay, moving on next, database providers. Next, the namespaces. Yeah, in the meantime, I've got some questions from your side. Sorry, I forgot to see those questions. So I've got some questions like, there are some questions from Krunal and Heli. So let me go through those questions first. Sir, but in try and catch block, we can use cone open and close. Yeah, I'll show you in the demonstration, Krunal, exactly. Then only this theory would be asked. Theory will be this, but you will have some programs also. Then provider is something similar to Java. Yes, exactly. Sir, can you explain Crystal report with console application? Crystal reports is not possible in console application, dear. We need to integrate too much for Crystal reports if you want to use it in console application. And again, this theory would be asked. Yes, theory will be from these slides only. I will discuss after a few minutes, after I continue with my question answer session. I will discuss complete part of theory and programs. Don't worry. And one question is, sir, right now the database libraries and the process we do for update, delete, and insert, which we give in web application, is ADO. Yes, it is ADO exactly. Kunal, it is not possible to explain Crystal reports. Okay, if you want to have a demo of Crystal reports, I will show you in Windows Phone. No issues. Yeah, exactly. I'll show you tomorrow. No issues. Today let us continue with ADO only. Fine. Okay, moving on to the next slide. Connection class. Next. 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 So fine. Let us start with some questionnaires. Okay. So what do you mean by a connection string? Yeah, waiting for the answers. What do you mean by connection string? Am I audible, students? Yeah, okay, thank you. Used to establish a connection between application and database. Very good, Yuvraj. Yes, exactly, Kunal. Good, Myth. Good, Human. Right. Which components mainly provides a database support in ADO.NET? Recall your architecture. Which component provides overall support for database operations in ADO.NET? No, that's the wrong answer, Kunal. You mean just try to recall your architecture. I said that is very much important component. No, Heli, it's wrong answer. The component that is responsible for all database operations in ADO.NET. Not you mean no Victor Cross. It's a very small component, but it does a very large work. No, Victor. Exactly, Meet. Very good. Your answer is correct. Meet Leru has given the right answer till now. The correct answer is XML. If you see your architecture, this is the component that you will have that gives the support for all the operations of this. See the arrow, and this is integration. Remember this, guys. Next question. Dash method allows to fetch only one row and one column. Not the class, but the method, guys. Okay, Grunal, answer is correct. Give the complete answer, Riddhi. Don't be a use shortcuts. Okay, Harsh, it is right. Spelling is incorrect. Yuvraj, give the complete answer. Don't use shortcuts. So the answer will be execute scalar, not only scalar. Remember this, guys. Next question. Dash method mainly executes all types of queries. The method that executes all types of queries. I'm talking about method, not the namespace. Yes, Janish and Happy answers are correct. Yes, Yuvraj, answer is correct. Yes, Riddhi, answer is correct. Fine. Okay. Answers are correct. Victor, your answer is incorrect. It should be execute non-query, not execute query. Remember this thing. Fine. So now moving on to the question answers part. Already I uploaded, the question bank is uploaded unit wise on your e-content. So I'm going to discuss the questions and how you should write the answers. Right. So I'll just keep the PPT open for you so that I can discuss directly the answers with it in that 11th only. Fine. So going on to let us move on with the first one-liners. So we will have again question answer session here. Give me the first answer. The term DML in database stands for. Give me your answers quickly. DML stands for. Yes, Victor, answer is correct. Hetvi, answer is correct. Kunal, Tumin, answers are correct. It stands for data manipulation language. Moving on to next, the statement that connects any .NET application with the database is. The statement that connects, yes, Yuvraj, Victor, Krunal, answer is correct. Hetvi, answer is wrong. I'm talking about statement, not the method. Janish, answer is correct. So the answer will be connection string. The connection string is a statement that connects any application with database. Fine. The dash method is used to establish connection with the database. Third one, the dash method is used to establish connection with database. Yes, exactly. It will be open method. Very good. Deep and Cumin. Sorry. Here we also write connection dot open. You can write either open or you write connection dot open. Both are correct. No issues. Then again, the dash class executes insert, update, and delete queries. The dash class executes insert, update, and delete queries. Yes, Deep, answer is correct. Tumin, answer is incorrect. Kunal, answer is incorrect. I'm talking about class, guys. So either it will be command class or it will be SQL command class. Either of the any answer will be correct. No issue. Remember command class or SQL command class. Then a data set is a collection of. Very good, Janish. Good, Harsh, Deep, Yuvraj. Meet, answer is incorrect. Victor, answer is incorrect. Kunal, answer is correct. So it will be a data set is a collection of data table or data tables, not data members or data. So try to remember this term, data table or data tables. Okay, next. Define database. Can anyone define orally? Then I can just give me your concern here, I'll unmute you. You need to speak. No need to answer here. Just give me your concern here. I will unmute you for that particular moment. Yes, Jimin wants to answer. So Jimin, I'm unmuting you right now. Yourself muted yourself, so kindly unmute you yourself first. I can see a message like attendee is self muted. Okay, give the answer in the chat box. Fine, no issues. Be quick, students. So what you will write as an answer here will be this. See this line. A collection of meaningful data that can be stored and accessed as well as manipulated as per the requirement. That is what you will write as answer, or you can redefine this in your own words, but that is okay. Fine, so it's a collection of meaningful data that you can store, you can access, or you can manipulate as per your requirement. Next, define SQL data adapter class. So the answer for this will be this. It is a class that executes all types of select queries and it returns the data retrieved on executing that particular query. So this is the right answer. You can write it in your own words, but what you should remember in this is you should write this select keyword and this part. Then it will retrieve all the data from the table. So that is what you need to write. Then comes define SQL command class. So the answer will be, it is a class that executes mainly insert, update and delete queries using connection class. So this is the right answer. It executes insert, update and delete query using connection class. Next, what is data table? So it will be a data table is a virtual table that is generated as per the requirement and is a collection of rows and columns. Then define ADO.NET. So it's a framework that provides all the components required for performing any database operations. So this is the right answers for all such definitions. Right. So moving on to the now 4-mark questions. So the first question is define ADO.NET, list different database providers. So what you will write here in the answer for 4 marks, you will first define ADO.NET. So what you will write, it is a framework that provides all components required for performing any database operations. Add one more line here. Yes, this PDF is uploaded in your e-content in the question bank. It is a question bank, dear. You can see it under question bank menu. You will see question bank for all units in this unit number 7. Right. So continuing with the answer again, you will first define this. Then you also write ADO.NET supports this kind of architecture, and then you will list different database providers like this. So this will be your different database providers. ODBC, give the full form. OLEDB, give the full form. Oracle database provider and SQL database provider. That's it. This is the answer. So this is the answer for your this question. Next comes explain OLEDB, ODBC, SQL and Oracle database providers. So what you will do is you will again define this ODBC, then write its full form and then write this description. Again define, write the full form, write this line. Same thing, and again one more thing you should write is the namespace that is required. For Oracle you will require this namespace, for OLEDB this namespace, for ODBC the same namespace, and for SQL Server these 2 namespaces. So this is the answer for this question. Simple. Then comes draw neat diagram of ADO.NET architecture. So what you will do is you will just draw a neat diagram of this. Draw the diagram with using the pencil if possible. So what you will write is you will just define connection, command, data adapters, all these queries that is given to data set and having a direct integration with XML. This is having integration with database. That's it. Then comes differentiate ADO and ADO.NET or connected or disconnected architecture. So it can be asked in any ways. You just need to write 4 to 5 differences. How it will be? Say, let us, for example, for ADO, you can write first is it is connected architecture, ADO.NET disconnected architecture, ADO requires live connection, ADO.NET does not require live connection, ADO different types of database providers like OLEDB and ODBC were not supported. ADO.NET supports all these different database providers. Then again, ADO does not support XML. ADO.NET supports XML. So likewise, you can create 4 to 5 different differences and you can write down in the exam if this question is asked. Again, only it's a 4 marks, so 4 differences each is more than enough for me. Then comes explain SQL data adapter class. So for this, what you will do is you will go to PPT and move on to SQL data adapter class here. So what you will do is you will write this. It is mainly used to execute select query. It fetches the record fast and it uses 2 components, data table and data set. And then you will write the syntax given in the PDF here. So you will write this too. First, the syntax: SQL data adapter, object name equals to new SQL data adapter. You provide the query of select and the connection string. And then you will write the example in this way: SQL data adapter DA equals to new SQL data adapter. The query is select star from EMP, and this is your connection string. So this contains 4 marks. That's it. Then moving on next, explain SQL command class. So again, you will move on to PPT. You will explain it is mainly used to execute database queries, and the different methods of SQL commands are this. You explain SQL scalar, you explain execute reader, and you explain execute non-query. That's it. No need to go for any other description. You can only write this 4 things, 4 paragraphs mainly. Moving on next question, explain data set and data table. So again, you will move on to your data adapter and try to elaborate these 2 lines. A collection of rows and columns to data table. So try to explain it more in 2 to 3 lines more. Similarly for data set, collection of data tables and explain it more in 2 to 3 lines. That's it for this answer. Next comes explain types of select command. So in your SQL, you have 4 types of select command. So this is first one, select all rows and all columns. Syntax will be select star from table name, and give one example like say select star from EMP. So that will be the answer for first method. Second one is select all rows and some columns. So say select column 1, column 2 till column n from table name. So let us say give example is select name, salary from EMP. So that is what the example of this particular method. The third one is select some rows and all columns. So select star from table name where some condition. So for example, let us say select star from EMP where salary greater than 20,000. That's it. Then last one is select some rows and some columns. So say select column 1, column 2 from table name where some condition. Again, give some example like select name, department from EMP where salary greater than 20,000. So this is the answer of your question. That means you explain different types of select statement. Next is write a SQL code to create a student table with these fields: student ID, name, semester, email, mobile, and date of birth. So the answer will be simple, this one. I already given you answer in this. Create table student s_id number 3, name varchar 2, 20, sem number 2, email varchar 2, 20, mob varchar 213 and bdate date. So this is the answer of your question. This contains 4 marks. That's it. And then the next question is, write a code to insert 4 rows into student table for name, semester, email and birthday columns. So already specifically I have given that you have to only specify 4 column values. What I will do is insert into student the same table we created earlier, in then name, semester, email and birth date. So name ABC single quotes, semester no single quotes value, then email and then a birth date in a format. And similarly you insert 4 rows. So likewise you insert 4 different rows. Each row contains 1 mark. So 4 rows, 4 marks. That's it. Next, moving on to 6 to 8 marks question. The first question is explain ADO.NET architecture in detail with neat diagram. Now guys, if this question is asked, then what should be the answer? First, you should define ADO.NET. Then you should draw this architecture. After this, you will explain this connection class. So this is the connection class. Then you should explain command class. Then you should explain data adapter class. And then you should explain these data providers in short. ODBC, OLEDB, Oracle and SQL. That's it. So you should explain each and every component of this particular architecture. Connection class, command class, data adapter class, data set and data table. No need to explain XML, it's okay. But you should explain database providers. You should write these 4 providers at least somewhere in your answer. So that will be 8 marks. 6 marks for mid-sem, 8 marks for final exam. Any questions in this? Regarding this question? You can raise it right now. Okay, second question, explain SQL data adapter, SQL command, data set and data table. So you know what you should write. It is the combination of these 4 questions, nothing else. These 3 questions. Already I have discussed what you should write in this. So you can write in your way. The next are all the practical things. So that will be covered in the tomorrow's section. Yes, do we need to explain data adapter class in which ADO.NET? Yes, you need to explain data adapter because it is a part of architecture. If you see, if you look at this diagram, it is a part of the architecture. See this one, where I'm highlighting, where my cursor is moving. So you should explain it. It is compulsory. Yeah, any other questions, guys? I will move to these practical sessions tomorrow. I will show you how to write a code. And I will also show you one console application which has select, insert, update and delete commands. And also we'll go for crystal reports in Windows applications one more time. So any other questions, guys? Okay, fine. So I am ending my session here. I will hand over this session to Happy Ma'am. Let me see, has she joined or not? Yes, Happy Ma'am is there. So I am handing over this session to Happy Ma'am. Happy Ma'am, kindly can you hear me?
Hear you.
Yeah, okay. So I'm handing over this session to Happy Ma'am. Thank you, guys. Stay home, stay safe. All the best. Good day. Ma'am, you can start. I have made the presenter.
Okay, sir. Okay. Okay. Good afternoon to everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible, ma'am. Continue. And ma'am, once you are done with your session, again, like last time, just end the webinar.
Okay, sir. Yeah.
The
I'll
last
take care of
option.
it.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Okay.
Okay. Okay. So I hope you all are very much enjoying the sessions for the revision purpose, right? So we are already completed with our sessions or with our syllabus. Now let's start with the revision. So I guess starting with the chapter number 1, there is no any requirement to one more time repeat the phases of compiler. Still, if you have any doubt, ma'am, do you know when we will have our exam? Okay, our head of the department will inform you all. Okay, so let's start with the first chapter. So I want to ask you that if you have any doubt in a phases of compiler, then let me know so that I'll repeat. Otherwise, I'll go with the next topic. Okay, so please replay in the question panel that if you have any doubt in the phases of compiler, then only I will repeat it. Otherwise, I'll go with the second topic. Okay, just let me know. What are we going to do today? Daily, we are going to revise the chapter number 1. And if I'll complete it with the chapter number 1, I'll move forward to the chapter number 2. So this is the revision session. So if you have any doubt, let's start with the first topic. Now, if you have any doubt, and then let me know that is there any requirement to revise the question number 1, that is phases of compiler. Just to say yes or no so that I can no ma'am, let's go with the flow. So should I repeat the phases of compiler to me? Ma'am, uploaded question bank is updated one or old one. Okay, so question bank is already there in your portal. So you can revise that also, that if you have any doubt in the question bank. So this is the our revision session. You can ask me, I'll explain you and I'll solve your doubts. Okay. So let's start with the second topic. Okay, so let me just ask the question from the phases of compiler. How many phases will included in the front end? Okay, so front end as well as the back end. Okay, so front end will contain 3 phases. Okay, Kunal, which 3? Okay, which 3 phases will comes under the front end, Kunal? It is an open question, so if you know the answer, you can reply in the question then. Analysis phase, forerun. So what is the major difference between analysis phase and the front end? There is no major difference. Then why should we divide our phases in major 2 concerns? There is a difference between analysis phase as well as front end. Lexical analyzer, yes, 1. Yes, good. Code generation is in the front end. Who said code generation is in the front end? Okay, no forum. Code generation is always concerned with the lower level language, or it is not included in your front end. Parsing will come in the front end. Okay, yes, you all are correct. But just I'll explain you. The first phase, that is a lexical analyzer. The second one, that is a syntax analyzer. Third one, that is a semantic analyzer. And the fourth one, that is intermediate code generation, is also comes under the front end. Why? Because your front end is always concerned with the your source code, right? That's what I was saying. Yes, but here you forum, you give me the answer something code generation. So that is not code generation, dear. That is intermediate code generation, right? So if you are concerned with the, yeah, yes, now you are correct. That intermediate code generation. Good. Okay. So last two phases, that is code optimization or code optimizer, right? And the code generation, right? So this is the division of your front end as well as the back end. Okay. Now, if I'll say that what is the difference between analysis phase and the synthesis phase? Okay. So how many phases will comes under the analysis phase and how many phases will comes under the synthesis phase? Okay, write down your answer. Okay, three phases in the analysis phase and last. Okay, so you meant to say had three, that first three phases will comes under the analysis phase and last three phases comes under the synthesis phase. Yes, you are correct. Okay. So the first three, that is lexical, syntax, and semantic analyzer, comes under the analysis phase, right? And the last three, including intermediate code generation as well as the code optimization and code generation, right? Okay, now correct. Okay, this three phases are comes under the synthesis phase. Okay, so what is the major task of every phase? I think you all are aware with that, right? So there is no need to go in a more deeper way. Okay, so let's start with the second question, or if you have any doubt then just let me know so that I'll go in a deeper way. Okay, I think there is no requirement to go with the every phase explanation. Okay. Okay, so we'll start with the second question. Okay, so I think, okay, this is the important question regarding, or you can say the with respect to your final examination as well as the mid semester exam, right? So let's start with the second question. The second question is nothing but the language processing system. Okay, so language processing system, or you can say that a major portion of our compiler, that is how many you can say a language converter are there. So first of all, let's start with the preprocessor. Yes, good. Forum, very good. Then second one, that is our compiler. Then third one, that is your assembler. Then the fourth one, that is your loader or a linker editor. Okay, so this four are comes under your language processing system, right? So turn by turn, the first input of our preprocessor, right? So always we can say the input of our preprocessor is a skeleton source program, right? So you can say the input of our preprocessor, that is a source program, right? Okay, now the preprocessor can generate the source program, right? Okay, so what is the major difference between this source program and this source program? So you can say this is a somewhat type of a skeletal program, right? So skeletal is nothing but some header file is also there. So after completion of your preprocessor processing, right, your major concern, that is the our main source code with including our header file also, right? So that type of processing is also done in the preprocessor. Some type of header files, inbuilt functions are included in our source code, right? Then it will goes into your compiler session, right? So compiler will generate the target level assembly, target assembly program, right? So this is the output of our compiler. Okay, so now the assembler will generate the relocatable machine code. Relocatable machine code. Okay, now what is a relocatable machine code? So you can say, okay, Vyakti Patel, ma'am, after this, can you please tell us that in a last two chapters of optimization technique, how question would be formed? And the another question, that is, I mean, whether theory or we have to gauge the technique based on a given code. Okay, I'll explain you, right? Just in a minute. Okay, first I'll complete with this, then I'll answer your question. Okay. So what is a relocatable machine code? Relocatable machine code means sometimes we don't have a perfect memory location, right? So which is not connected with your target level memory, right? So at that time, whenever we require some memory location, and that memory location is not free for my runnable code, at that time I just need to relocate my code at a different location, right? So at that time you just need to require the relocatable machine code, which is only generatable by assembler. Okay, so the input of assembler is always a assembly level program, so which were generated by our compiler. Okay, now come with the linker and a loader. So linker and a loader. So one thing we always require at the time of a linking and a loading process, that is a relocatable object files. Now what is the relocatable object file, or you can say a library? Okay, so some inbuilt library functions are there which we need to include in our linker and loader while the compiling process or while at the time of language processing. Okay, so the output is always something like absolute machine. Okay, so the absolute machine code, which is not relocatable or which has always a fixed memory location of a machine code, where we need to just put our program and we can directly access from that memory location only, right? We cannot relocate your our code from one place to the another place. Okay. Okay, so now is there any doubt with the language processing system? Say yes or no so that I can move further. Okay, in a cousins of compiler, I'll be much go deeper in the pre-processing, compilation, sorry, assembler and the linker and loader process. Okay, okay, no ma'am. So should okay, ma'am, are the diagram important? Yes. Every time you just need to draw the diagram. Okay, so that we can easily or you can easily identify that you know the major concern or you know the major points of your topic. Okay, you are aware with that only, ma'am. Okay, so Yatri, yes, in the last 15 minutes, I'll answer your question. Okay. Okay. So up till now, is there any doubt? Okay, I forgot to say two major concern, that is the phases of compiler also include the symbol table as well as the error handling, right? Without symbol table and error handling process, my phases of compiler will never run. Okay, why? Because the symbol table is generated by your first three phases, and it will be your, or you can say the symbol table can used by your last three phases. Okay, so it is every time required. And what is error handling process? So you can say the syntax type of errors is the semantic type of errors, or you can say the at the time of code optimization, if I can't understand what is the integer which will give you the output as an integer and which variable will give you the answer in a float, right? So at that time we cannot identify, so that's why we require a error handler as well as the symbol table. Okay. Okay, so let's start with the second question or third question, that is cousins of compiler, right? So as we were discussed, am I audible or not? Okay, I am audible. Okay, so the cousins of compiler, the first one, that is a preprocessor. Okay, so except your compiler, all language processing systems are comes under the cousins of compiler. Okay, so they all are known as the cousins of your compiler. Okay, so the start with the preprocessor. Okay, so preprocessor has a major four functionalities are there. Okay, so the first one, that is can you please repeat a name of topics with the marks which we did till now? Okay, Haley. Okay, so the first topic, if we have discussed with the mid semester, then you can say your phases of compiler comes with the 6 marks, comes in the 6 marks. Okay, and if we are concerned with the final examination, then it will be something like 8 months. Okay, So I can ask the question something like explain me the front end, or analyze the front end and a back end, as well as explain each in a detail with example, right? So in that type of question, you just need to explain your question with example. That my lexical analyzer will convert my string into this. Now my second phase will give you the output in this way. My third one, that is this phase, and it will give me the tree and convert your major data type into the minor data type into the major data, something like this. Okay. So the second question, which we have completed, that is a language processing system, seen 6 marks or maybe 8 marks. If you can say concern with the final examination, in that I can also ask with the 4 marks only. Okay. So if we are concerned with the mid, then the language processing system comes in the 6 marks, and in a final examination it will be 4 marks. Okay. So each phase, or you can say the each language processor will comes in for the 1. Okay, so teach us that all phases will be connected to symbol table and not just vacuum. Okay, yes, yeah, I explained you the same thing. Okay, that I was saying that the first 3 phases can generate your symbol table, and last 3 phases can use your symbol table, but all the phases must have to connected with your symbol table. Okay, without symbol table, it will not work smoothly. Okay, so back to the cousins of compiler. First one, that is the preprocessor. So under a preprocessor, the first functionality or the first function, that is a macro processing. Okay, now what is a macro processing? A preprocessor, you can say it will allow a user to define the macros. And macros is nothing but the shorthands for a longer constructions, right? So say for example, if I'll say that hash define concern with the C language only, right? Hash define max equals to 10, right? And in your program, if I'll write that avoid main integer a of max, right? So the meaning of this is your max can replace with the 10. Okay, so this is the method concern of our macro processing. Okay. Okay, up till now, is there any doubt? No. Okay, so the second one, who raise hands? Whose rings are here? That is a file inclusion. If you know the answer, you can write in the question panel, right? So what is the file inclusion? So it will include your header file. So say for example, the hash include stdio.h. So standard input output dot h header file will convert, or you can say the include your all inbuilt functionalities, so that you can directly used in your program, or it can directly replace in your file, right? So for example, if your preprocessor poses the contents of global.h file, right? So it will replace the statement hash include global.h with the all contains of file. Okay, when it processes a file containing the with this statement. Okay, now the third one, that is a rational pre-processing. Okay, so okay, is there anyone who want to answer the question that what is the major task of rational pre-processors? Okay, if you know the answer, you can write it in the question panel only. It will give you a more flow of control, as well as it will give you the data structuring facilities, right? So say for example, if you have built-in macros in your program so that you can use it. Other thing that is while statement or a if statement, right, where none exists in the program, right, it will directly replace in the program, right? Now the major concern of rational preprocessor is something like these processors can augment the older languages with more modern flow of control, right? And the data structuring facilities, right? It will replace the old one with the new one. Okay. So the fourth one, that is a language extension. Okay, now what is the major task of our language extension? It will aid the capabilities to the language by what amounts to built-in macros. Okay, whichever built-in macros are there, it will give you the some facilities or some capabilities, new capabilities to extend the macros, or you can say to use the built-in macros. Okay, right? So I think up till now, am I clear with the cousins of compiler? For only for the preprocessor. I'll start with the assembler. Okay, up till now, is there any doubt? Okay, is there any doubt? Say yes or no. Okay, no, 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 no. So the assembler, it will generate the relocatable machine code, right? Now, relocatable machine code is nothing but the mnemonic version of your machine code. Now, what is a mnemonics? Okay, so as you have discussed that if I write move a comma r1, then your move is the mnemonics for your instruction. Now, if I write add r1 comma b, then your add is known as the mnemonic. Okay, no ma'am, but according to rubrics, what is the weightage of first chapter? Okay, are you asking for the weightage concern? So there is we can say that there is no any major concern with the weightage. Now if you can say the weightage of my first chapter is something like 8 marks, right? So you have to go thorough with the first chapter. No one can identify that which question will be asked in your examination, right? So at least please repeat a second question that we discussed. Second question, before cousins of compiler, a language processing system. Haley, should I repeat the language processing system? Okay. A language processing is same like every cousins of compiler. There is a one main topic that is compiler, which will included in your language system, but there is not in your cousins of compiler. So there is a no major difference. If you are go through with the cousins of compiler, you can easily write down the question of language processing system. Okay. So it will, okay, back to the pavilion. That is, what is the mnemonics for your instruction? So you can see over here the move is a one mnemonic, add is a one mnemonic. Now if I'll write a div, means that a division r1 comma 10. So divide your the value of r1 with the 10. So the div is the mnemonic for your instruction. Okay, so it is nothing but a mnemonic version of your machine code. Okay. Okay, so let's move further. That what is a two-pass assembly and what is single-pass assembly? Okay, so the assembly level language code will comes with, or you can say, a simplest form of a two-pass assembly as well as a single-pass assembly. So what is a two-pass assembly? So two-pass assembly is nothing but it can assemble a symbol table with the identifier that you can identify easily with the what is the identifier and what is the address of your variable, right? So in the first pass, okay. So the first pass, all identifiers that denote a storage location, right, are found and stored in the symbol table, okay. And in the second pass, the assembler scans the input one more time. Why? Because this is the time when your translators uh, translate each operation code into the sequence of bits. Okay. Now, in a two-pass assembly, so the second pass of your assembler will go with this code also. Okay, that it will convert your, or you can say translate your operational code into the sequence of bits representing the operation of machine languages. Okay. Haley, ma'am, the answer for language processing system should include interpreter and compiler. Yes, it will include the major two concern, that is a compiler, assembler, linker loader, and a preprocessor in a language processing system. But over here, we don't have a compiler only. We have preprocessor, we have assembler, and we have linker and a loader concern. Okay. Hmm. Uh, so now we'll move to the linkers and a loader concept. Okay. And the third one, cousin of compiler is loaders and linkers. Okay. So as we have discussed that what is the major concern, that is loader. Okay. So the major concern, major work of your loader is to convert, or you can say the to store the your code from dash memory to the dash memory, right? So you just need to fill the blank. It will translate, or you can say it will load the code from dash memory to the dash memory. Okay, just fill the blank. Which memory to which memory? Loader. This is the main task of loader. Work of loader. Secondary memory to primary memory. Very good. It will load your code from secondary memory to the primary memory. Okay. Yes, rem to rem. Okay. Right. So now what is the work of linker? Work of linker. Okay, just write down your answer. What is the work of linker? It will link the library routines. Yes, you can say. Okay, link the built-in libraries. Very good. Okay, so the major task of our linker is it will link the built-in libraries with the our subroutines, or with the routines, or you can say with the concern with the code. Okay. Yes, you can say link the object file also. Yes, good. Okay, so I think up till now there is no any major questions are made. Okay, I think you all are aware with the compiler construction tools, right? So I'll not explain the compiler construction tool. Okay, we're already completed in our lab session. Okay, so let's move further with the second chapter. Okay, so chapter number 2, please tell the tools. Okay, now it is the homework, right? Now identify the compiler construction tools. Okay, I'll give you a small homework that identify the compiler construction tool. Okay, so I think this is the small homework. Is it a Lex? Yeah, Lex. Maybe this is the homework. So I'll give you the answer in a next session. Okay. Okay. So just to revise the old topics which we were covered in today's session. I'll give you the just 5 minutes. If you have your book with you, then just revise it. I'll wait for a 5 minute and then I'll start with the second chapter. Okay, just revise the chapter number 1. Now if you have any doubt in that, just let me know. I'll repeat it one more time. Okay, so I'll wait till 1 second. Okay, it's a 1 2 right now. Okay, so just reply me if you have any doubt. I'll wait for you. Okay, everyone, those who are right now online. So Akshay, Fanil, Puram, Harsh, Heli, Hetvi, Hiral, Kishan, Meet, Nehal, Parth, Ritwik, Shivam, Tuming, Vishwari, Bhargav, and Yatri. Okay, so Bhargav is a Victor Cross. Okay, so I'll wait till 1 7. Okay, let me know if you have any doubt. Just revise the all the topics which we were covered in today's session.
Yes, to mean second chapter is scanner 1. Last chapter PPT will be uploaded by end of the day. Hello, Happy ma'am. Hello.
Ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Ma'am,
Hello.
let us discuss questions with students. They are asking for questions.
So, ma'am, which type of questions? In terms of first chapter or in terms of
Yatri or someone has asked that she wants question of last chapter. So let us just say them that which kind of question can be asked in exam. I have listed few. First one is
yes, ma'am.
define constant folding.
Yes.
Define constant folding, constant propagation. What is chord motion? Explain with example. What is common sub-expression? Explain with example. What do you mean by strength reduction? That also you can explain. If in 1 or 2 marks it is asked, then you know how much to write. Okay, you can just write definition and give one small example. But if it is asked in 6 marks and they can give you one example and they can ask that which techniques you can use here.
Okay.
And
Yes,
Happy
thank
ma'am,
you. Go ahead if you have more questions.
yes.
Okay,
Ma'am,
explain the loop
can we
area.
release question
What
bank
is?
of 25?
Yes, ma'am. Yes. That is there in your in the students portal.
I think I think we have did that, right? We uploaded question bank.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. Yes, we uploaded.
Okay. No, to mean in question bank, 1 mark question, I don't think it is included. We have included 25 questions, which are major questions, which can be asked in 8 or 6 or 4 marks.
Small questions is not that. Okay, you
Yes.
can
This
say
1 2 marks
explain the.
question can be asked.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Or 1 or 2 marks question, I think if the question bank which we have uploaded in our portal for generating purpose, not for student, if they will display that question bank to students, then student will come to know. So I think they will be doing within few days.
Okay, ma'am. We'll discuss and then we'll let you know. Okay, students. Okay, so in that chapter also you can say that what is peak hall optimization and explain the techniques of peak hall optimization in detail. Okay, so there are many courses who can you revise those ones. Okay, parsers. Yes, I'll revise. Let's go with the chapter by chapter. Okay, so once I'll complete it with the chapter number 2, I'll start with the chapter number 3. Okay. Yeah, I will explain the parsers. Okay. But for that purpose, I'll give you the small PPTs or maybe a small work that revise or be ready with your classwork book so that I can easily revise or easily give you the question summary, right, or parser summary in detail. Because over here, I can't explain the whole question with the solution. Okay. So let's start with there are so many questions. Okay. Other than this, is there any major questions remaining in chapter number 1 or Yatri? Am I clear with your questions? Okay. Or yes, Haley, have you uploaded the last chapter PPT? Okay, I'll upload the last chapter PPT. But I uploaded the last second chapter's PPT already there in your portal, that is code optimization. Okay. Yes. Okay, so let's start with the chapter number 2, that is the scanning purpose. Okay, now what is the major task of our scanner? Okay, or am I audible? Is it token lexing wala chapter? This is the chapter not with the token and lexing, but you can say some type of techniques which we were already studied that remove the ambiguity, or you can say how can you identify the ambiguous grammar from the given grammar, how can you remove the left recursion and a left factoring from the given grammar, then you can say the major concern of our chapter is something like, okay, I'll show you the syllabus, okay, so that you can aware with the major concern topics. Okay, a most important chapter. Okay, the major role of for lexical analyzer, then a token recognition, a language for a specifying lexical analyzer, what is a finite automata, how can you draw the finite automata from the given regular expression, generate the regular expression from a given statement, converting the regular expression into the DFA using the Thompson's method, and second one, that is the syntax tree method. Okay, then minimization of DFA. Okay, so that many questions and that many methodologies are there. Okay, so recognition of tokens and all those things, I think you all are aware with that, right? Say yes or no, or should I repeat with that topics? Okay, so I'll start with the what is NFA and what is the DFA. Okay. Okay, now what is the NFA? That is a non-deterministic finite automata. And what is DFA? That is deterministic finite automata. Now, if I'll say with the NFA, that means NFA is nothing but it will generate more than one path from one, or you can say more than one transition, including epsilon also, from one state to the another state, right? Okay, so that type of things we can say that is known as the NFA. Now, what is the DFA? Now, DFA is a deterministic finite automata. So, deterministic finite automata is something like it will generate the states, it will include the transitions, it will include the starting state or initial state, and it also include the ending state also in my automata or in my diagram. Now, what is the major difference between NFA and DFA, right? So NFA will include the epsilon transition also, but DFA will not include the epsilon transition. Now, both the NFA as well as DFA will concern with or contain the initial state as well as the ending state. Okay, then and only then you can say that I can identify or machine can identify which one is the starting point of my diagram or my given automata, and which state is the ending state, or you can say a final state of my given automata. Okay, now up till now, is there any doubt? Say yes or no. Up till now, is there any doubt? Okay. Now, the major concern is something like for the every finite automata, you just need to draw the diagram with concern of NFA or with concern of DFA, right? So after completion of that, you just need to draw the transition table for every question, that which state will produce your given strings, which character, and reachable state is this. Okay, so that type of transition table is there, and after completion of transition table, the major answer, which is known as the our final state, or you can say a final deterministic finite automata is there, right? So conversion from NFA to DFA using Thomson's rule. Or NFA to DFA using subset creation method. Okay. So both are the same question. Now NFA to DFA using syntax tree method. Okay. So this type of major questions are going to be asked in your question paper, right? So, and the minimization of every possible questions. The minimization of DFA if possible. Okay, so up till now, is there any question? So that I'll proceed, or I'll go with the first one, that is NFA to DFA using Thomson's rule, and how many rules are there? Okay, should I move further? Say yes or no so that I can identify. Okay. So wait for a while so that I can open the PPT. Okay. Okay, I think you all are aware with the Lexim token and pattern, right? What is the Lexim, what is the token, and what is the pattern? And if you don't know the answer of Lexim token and pattern, then this is the homework also, right? It is also in your homework that identify what is the Lexim token and pattern. This is the most important definition. Explain with the example. Okay. I think this question is also there in your mid-semester examination. Okay. Right. So if you know the answer or don't know, then just revise this PPT. The first one, a string matched by the pattern of a token, right? That is known as the lexeme. What is token? A set of strings. And what is a pattern? The pattern is a rule associated with the token that describes the set of string. Okay. So the first one, that is the concern with the first example, that is what is const. So if I'll say the token is const, then the lexeme is also const and a pattern is also const. Okay. Now the second one, that is a relation. Now what is a relation? So the lexeme is something like it will include the less than, equal to, greater than, equal to, not equal to. And if we are coming to the pattern, then what is the pattern? So the pattern is something like less than, or you can include less than or equal to, or you can include only equal to, or you can include the not equal to also. Okay. Now what is the token? The token is the something like ID, and which type of lexemes or which type of variable name you can identify in the lexemes. That is a PI, that is the count, that is a DE, or you can say D2, right? So the pattern is something like letter followed by letters and a digit. That method is known as the pattern. Okay. So the rule of identifier name, right? That is the known as pattern. Okay. So what is the regular expression, right? So you all are aware with this type of meanings for the given regular expression. Now this is the major concern of our Ubuntu programs, right? So the square bracket is always required for generating the rule for given question. Or you can say you can write down the major logic in the square bracket only. Okay. Now write down the some regular expression from the given statement. So the first statement, the set of string over 0, 1 that have at least one 1. So the 1 is compulsory section. So you cannot write 1 in the star because the meaning of star is 0 or more. Okay. So the you can say the occurrence of 0 or 1 is 0 or more than 1. Okay. So this is the example of your question. Now what is finite state automata? Okay, we have discussed it. What is a finite state automata? We have completed this. Okay. Now so the rule for non-deterministic finite automata to generate the to generate the DFA using Thompson's rule, I will explain you in the next session. So I'll conclude my session over here. Now let me know if you have any doubt. Up till now, if you have any doubt, then just let me know. We'll discuss in next lecture what is the regular expression to NFA conversion using the Thompson's construction rule. Okay. So up till now, is there any doubt? Say yes or no. No, ma'am. Okay. So I'll conclude my session. Have a nice day. Stay home. Stay safe. Okay. Okay. You can refer. And if you have any doubt, then let me know. Okay. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Okay. Is there any question? Have a good day. You too, Kuman.